Hello and welcome again to Charles Kelly Money Tips. Today we have more news. Every time you look at your computer, some bit of news is flashing up, and the Fed are doing this, putting in billions, and the ECB, the European Central Bank, are putting in billions. And of course today we've seen that the Bank of England that's the UK Central Bank, has cut interest rates to a record low, unbelievably, of 0.1%. Now, you heard it here first, because I did predict this on Monday, because one of the weekend newspapers was predicting that the Fed would cut rates, and that happened, and that the Bank of England would cut rates to 0.1%. So they obviously had some inside knowledge. I'm not claiming I had the inside knowledge, but I did say this would happen. And MPs are calling this unprecedented. It's the biggest financial crisis in 100 years, although I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I would have thought 2 world wars, a Great Depression, and the 1987 crash was potentially bigger than this. But especially when you put it into the context of, I know it's a lot of people dying, but 137 people dying in when you look at obviously that's tragic, but in the bigger picture, probably more people would die of a bad winter flu, or on the roads, or any sort of illness in that sort of time. So we seem to be, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, and the media and all this, and the government making these announcements are almost pushing this into a state of hysteria, where we say, let's take tougher action, let's get the army in, let's get the police in, let's lock down everything. And of course it's destroying the economy. Now, with these cheaper rates, you would expect that people with mortgages are immediately going to be paying less, but it won't affect everybody immediately, because most people who have a mortgage are on a fixed rate, so that's you're fixed for the term. Other people may just have a variable rate, and then it's up to the lender as to whether they change that rate. So not all of them are doing that at the moment. They haven't even reacted to the last base rate cut from 0.75 to 0.5. And then there are those people that are on a tracker rate. Now, if you're on a tracker rate where the rate is tracking the base rate, then yes, your rate will go down, and you'll be paying virtually nothing on your mortgage in terms of interest rates apart from the capital. And we're getting almost close to negative rates. Negative rates means where you're almost paying the bank to keep money for you. So if you go to the bank in some countries and you wanted to put money in, they charge you to keep it there, and this is called negative interest rates, and they pay you to have a mortgage. I think it's in is it Finland, somewhere like that, but certainly Japan has had negative rates for a while. And the problem with negative rates, it sounds great in some ways, but most people in the country have not got a mortgage. Most people in the country are savers, and they rely on their savings, and they rely on interest rates to pay them a pension, and pension companies rely on the yields that they can get from interest rates through government bonds to pay out these pensions. So some of these will be at risk. And if you get into negative interest rates, and you get into what we call, instead of inflation, you have deflation, then that could lead to a long recession, as it did in Japan, which had a recession of 20 years. From I think sometime the end of the 80s, they went into this long recession for 20 odd years, and only just coming out of it. So it's quite serious when rates get down that low. Now, apparently this has been caused by the Bank of England, who want to stop the slide in the pound, because the pound was sliding against the dollar. I think it was at $1.17 not yesterday at one stage. And apparently the Federal Reserve are also trying to stop the dollar going up too much, because apparently people are piling their money into dollars where they feel it's a safe currency, a safe haven. And this has also caused the gold and silver prices to drop. Now, more measures will be announced by the government soon to help employers and employees. They're telling employers not to lay off too many people, and that some help will be coming. Some MPs have put forward a proposal to put the PAYE tax system into reverse, and kind of pay employers to keep employees on, provided they don't sack people. And this could stop the crisis, and put a halt to the spiral downwards in the economy. Panic buying is still increasing in London, as London really anticipates a lockdown, and the army moved in. I told you this yesterday, that the army are on the streets, so they're moving in from their bases up north, their barracks, which are usually outside of London, and tanks have been seen going in. So I don't know why we need tanks. Why would we need tanks to have a lockdown? I know they're saying it's on a war footing, but what the hell would you need a tank for? To tell people to stay at home. I mean, in Paris, people have been told to stay at home, and I saw it on the news yesterday that people are issued with fines of up to 135 euros for just going out without permission. And then they said to go out to the shops or go out to do something essential, you need this bit of paper, and like a permit. Where are your papers? Where is your permit to come out? It's like that. Sorry about the accent, but it's a bit like hello, isn't it? Where are your papers? And so it's almost like you think you live in a free country, and then you want to go out for a walk or to go and see your friend. No, you can't do that. You need a bit of paper. Now, some people would argue, oh, we need this to stop this virus, but I do point back to you that the fact that not that many people are infected at the moment. Now, what the government are probably doing is saying, right, let's have a short, sharp shock, and then clamp down on it, and then deal with it. Then we can get back to normal, maybe within a few months, like has happened in China. Apparently, they're getting back to normal, and they said there was no new cases in Wuhan, but they've lied about this before, haven't they? They covered it up initially, and who knows that they're not just covering this up again and just pretending that they're okay. But it looks like China could get back to normal, and then the rest of the world's left in this sort of spiraling downward recession with the markets tumbling, and China said, right, we're okay, great. So who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. Now, as I said, the panic buying is continuing. I was in the shops yesterday. The shelves are wiped out. What some of the shops are doing is saying, let's have the first hour for old age pensioners, and then let's stop people buying multiple packets of everything. And I think that's a good thing. We've got to ration, because if you don't ration, people just won't listen. They'll just get into a panic. It's like if you don't have a law that enforces people to put a seatbelt on, they just continue driving and then going through windscreens when they have a crash. So sometimes people have got to be told to do things. Now, there are these similar lockdowns in other countries. I believe in Manila that the whole of the Luzon Island is in a lockdown, and incidentally the stock markets there have been closed for a couple of days. The first sort of country of any size to sort of just stop trading in stocks, and that's it. They closed the stock market down. And I don't know, will Wall Street and London have to do the same? Because they're out of control at the moment. They just keep going down and down like a roller coaster at the moment. So who knows what's going to happen? But the China thing, if it is true, does show that this can be beaten, and that maybe we can get out of this situation quicker than we thought. There's also talk of viral drugs being developed in the UK that could perhaps put a stop to this. So I always think that in these times of crisis, man will come up with something. They will come up with an answer, and we'll get through this. We always do. We are very resilient humans, and we find a way of surviving. So perhaps don't believe so much of the hype, and let's just try and get on with our lives as best we can, and get through this crisis. So thanks for listening. This is Charles Kelly, Money Tips. Thank you.